We walk alone.
Yeah, and we're back. We are live with the podcast. I don't know what episode this is because it's going to be pre-recorded later, and whenever you're hearing this is the day we released it. So we got Luke, we got Steve. We're talking Elimination Chamber 2011, the pre-WrestleMania 27 trip.
You got half your wish here. You wanted all 4 members, but you got exactly half that. So there you go.
How is there 4 members? There was only 3 of us.
Oh no, I don't mean the trip. I mean the OG clique.
Oh, we're almost there. We're just picking up pieces week by week, and then all of a sudden, one week, bam.
Oh, you'll see.
We'll shock drop that episode and be like, well, the clique's here.
I can't believe we were able to get Scott Hall out of the drunk tank to get him on the podcast the other day.
Scott Hall
doesn't get out all that often, you know. Hey, it's Miguel, yo. Hey, yo.
Well, that was a pre-booked guest, okay? That was a pre-booked guest.
Yeah, we paid him $175. That was his going rate. I said, "Is there any way you can make it $150?" And he was like, "No." And then I said, "Fine, $175." But I only gave him $174. So the joke's on him.
As soon as he was gone, you took the PayPal back. You were like, "Oh."
You know what's funny? Miguel apologized for going too long.
I know.
What I was talking about.
I know. I was like, dude, like it's literally just recording a Skype call. Like it's not even that big of a deal.
Miguel currently has the highest ever retention rate we have on any podcast.
So
that's crazy.
So Miguel winning the clip.
They hear Luke and they bail out. Oh, he's not doing the clown. I'm out of here.
You know what? I don't want to hear anything ever again.
That's my boy right there.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so Elimination Chamber 2011. How did this whole trip start? Because this was like, I felt like watching the videos is just random. It just happened to happen. Like, Breech was going, and then all of a sudden Luke was going.
I would say this was like on the road. This was shit. Was this before 27 or before 28?
Before 27.
Damn. Okay, well, just basically what happened was Miguel on Skype one night just said, "Hey, I looked it up. Flights aren't that much." Kind of like how he said that the 29 trip came together. And he said, "I can fly to Sacramento for like about like 50, 60, 70 bucks, something like that. And we can get tickets that were still available on Ticketmaster, and we can go." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll get the day off. You fly here. I'll pick you up. We'll drive to Oakland, and we'll be good to go." And that's just basically how it went. And I think we extended an invitation, and Luke was like, "I am 100% all in." And as the trip was like being pieced together, somehow I think Miguel was worried about the 27 trip, and he bowed out. But I think Luke we didn't have tickets, so Luke just decided he wanted to come, so he stayed in with the trooper.
Yeah, I kind of had a full weekend there. I actually went to the post-elimination chamber, was the 2/21/11 Raw, which was infamous for the Undertaker return that set up the match at WrestleMania 27 between Undertaker and Triple H. Everyone thought Sting was going to debut in WWE, which is the only reason why I made the drive to Fresno. And I got 5th row ringside, and you can see me getting my Sting mask on camera quite a few times. But yeah, I had a pretty busy.
Get in your Sting mask. Like you're wearing one.
Tell us your itinerary, like what you did. Tell us the main thing. Like when you were in a plane or in a car, tell us what you did. That's pretty all out.
I'm pretty sure I flew up to Sacramento.
I think I picked you up Sunday morning because you came home. We made 2 videos, then we drove to Oakland. I think you flew here that day.
Okay,
yeah. You flew here that morning.
And I stayed on Steve's couch, and also I think I flew back to San Diego, and then I went home to get my car, and then drove 5 hours north to Fresno, back pretty much towards where Steve was in Northern California, and then went to Raw, and then went back down home. Then that's all I remember from it. But yeah, it was a pretty hectic
Wait,
week there.
you drove 5 hours after Raw? So, like, what time did you get home? Like, 2 in the morning?
Something like that, yeah.
I remember he called and we talked to him on Skype to keep him awake.
I don't remember that.
I do.
Well, this is like, what, almost 10 years ago. So it's, I think, oh no, we also watched, I remember, we were in your living room watching TNA, and I remember we watched Hernandez. He border tossed, I want to say Doug Williams, and it was really nasty.
We kept rewinding it and playing it over and over and over again.
That was like the big bump that happened that weekend. That's all I got for you.
That's it, dude.
But,
I thought it was gonna be this long thing. Why'd you fly in like just one day? Why didn't you just be like, hey, I'm gonna come like Saturday, hang out?
You know what? I think I'm trying to think back to honestly, I didn't know what the topic was until you said so no one prepped me for this, but I think I wanted to go up there because I had never seen an Elimination Chamber match live, and that was one of the stipulations that I wanted to check off the list. So I think that was the main motivation for going up there, because I already had the Raw on 2/21/11. I was like fitting the Chamber into that whole hectic schedule there. But I believe that was the main motivation. That was nice to check it off the list, and I haven't seen a Chamber match since. So there you go.
So
that's why I wanted to go. I mean, that's what I wanted to see. I didn't care really about anything else that was on the show, but seeing the Chamber, I mean, you only get so many chances to really see that. It's like you really want to chase that around the country, like as you like checking things off your wrestling list when it's only 3 hours away. You drive the 3 hours instead of like having to fly somewhere to go see it.
And that was like the original Chamber too. That wasn't like this new garbage. That was like, the OG gigantic Chamber. So that's even better because they don't have that anymore, obviously.
I remember thinking it was a lot smaller in person, from what I remember.
I remember the whole build up to Miz and Lawler, and you guys were making me convinced that Lawler was going to win the title.
I thought he was going to. It made sense to me.
Yeah, that was honestly pretty cool to see Jerry Lawler in a WWE title match. That's not too many people can say that they've seen that live.
What about a TLC match? Didn't he do that on Raw like the next night or 2 weeks later or something like that?
I have no clue.
But
so let's all talk at once. Go ahead, Breech.
So as the trip like got close, me and Luke bought a ticket in the hundreds. We had pretty good seats, and then I don't remember having Zach as a part of the trip for a long time, but we were like pretty open with the fact that we were gonna go. We would talk about it on videos. I don't know when Zach came into the Skype calls because what's gonna come up in a minute. Zach was still kind of young and is in high school, I hope, at that time, and he wouldn't be on the calls a lot. But one day we found out that Zach only lived like 3 streets over from my house. Like he lives really, really, really close. Like one of those things that makes you like realize the world's not as big as you really kind of think it is, especially with like YouTube stuff. But we found that out on a Skype call talking about Howard's Donut. And he kind of said, hey, if I get a ticket, will you take me with you? And I was like, well, yeah, because honestly, I thought Zach was older than he was, and that I thought that somebody would know where he was at the time. And so he bought his own ticket, and we gave him a ride, and that's pretty much how that came together. I think it happened like kind of last minute, though. I think that he said he wanted to come.
Yeah, it was last minute, and he was 15 at the time.
Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know.
I was 19, I believe. So, I mean,
he seems a lot older than he like in the videos, especially like when I watched that video, like it seemed like he was like, around the same age like as Luke, no offense, Bridge. And so like it seemed like it was just like they all like it all like worked together. But yeah, I mean, when I think it was like a couple of years, like I don't even know, like before the 31 trip, I found out like how close in age, like he was like the closest to me of like the group at the time. So like it was kind of like crazy going back to that chamber trip and watching those videos. Like it's just one of those crazy crazy things. Like hey, like there's a lot younger people that are watching the videos, and there's probably the same thing going on now with people where it's like
So
new people joining.
the funny story was Breach getting sick. That didn't even happen. All I remember is like I remember you guys joking about it in the video, and then I remember I think you talked about it like later on, and like, oh, I threw up in the parking lot.
I felt I woke up that day to go pick up Luke at the airport, and I didn't really feel that good. But I kind of like shook it off, and I really by the time I picked Luke up from the airport and we came back to my house, we made a couple videos. I didn't feel bad anymore, but it wasn't bad enough for me not to go to a wrestling show. But I did really remember feeling bad that morning, like not good at all. I don't get sick that often, but somehow when we got to In-N-Out and we got in the drive-through lane, I just felt like I had to take a huge dump all of a sudden. And it just was like, I got to go now, to the point where I got out of the car and I left Luke and Zach to drive through the drive-through, which I thought would not be a problem at all. And so I went to the bathroom, and it was just one of those moments when I just couldn't go. So I was like, fuck, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on with me. And then halfway between the bathroom and the car, once I got in the parking lot, I threw up next to a tree. Not a little bit. Like, just, oh, look at that. And I thought that was it, and I was done. And then by the time I got back to the car, Luke was struggling to drive the car in the drive-thru, and people were wondering why the hell he was not moving and the line was moving. I got back in the car, started making fun of Luke. I forgot about it. But because I wasn't feeling that great, I wanted to eat, but I didn't want that much. So I got a grilled cheese sandwich, which I don't think many people know that In-N-Out has. It's on like the secret menu. And I got a milkshake, which I think the milkshake did me in to the point where, like, once we started driving and we got closer to the stadium, but we were in like the traffic line, I threw up the milkshake.
Oh, okay.
I think I threw up the milkshake out of the car. I don't think I threw up in the car or in the cup or anything like that.
No,
I think
you opened the door and you leaned half of your body out and spewed all over the pavement. But before that, I had trouble moving your car because you put on the emergency brake, and I had no idea you had done that because normal people don't do that. And
does that?
No, I'm not done. And so you put on the emergency brake and you went inside, and I'm like pressing the gas. I'm like, fucking thing is stuck. And then I looked down and realized it was engaged. And not to mention, I think I'd gotten my driver's license 5 months prior to this, so maybe that had something to do with it too. But
I didn't know that. Jeez.
It all comes out now. That's crazy. Was that like the first time that like you got okay? So obviously, Luke, you had 26, WrestleMania 26, hanging out with Miguel. But like, was that the first time you went to someone else's like house from YouTube? Like, you know what I mean?
Actually, it was. And yeah, like I said, I slept on Steve's couch, and yeah, that definitely was kind of the first trip to somebody's house. You know, now that I've never thought of it that way until you said it.
Yeah, because I just figured like Breach, was that your first time meeting up with like someone from YouTube, or was there some like another like a time before?
Well, didn't they hang out at SummerSlam?
Did that happen?
I don't know.
Yeah, SummerSlam 2010.
Oh, okay. So then that would have been the first time. Okay.
But no one stayed at anyone's house there.
No, but yeah, okay. So SummerSlam 2010 was the first time that like. Okay, that makes sense.
I feel like that vlog, like at the time, because I didn't watch. Like I followed you guys. Like I followed Breach pretty much from the start, I guess. So it was kind of fun seeing you guys like when worlds collide. And I'm like, damn. Like I wish at the time I was like, I wish I had friends that I could do like that with, you know.
And especially because that was such like a random event. Like it wasn't WrestleMania. Like it wasn't like a big like to do. It was
SummerSlam?
just a random like chamber event.
Oh, the Chamber one. I thought
Yeah,
that
yeah.
SummerSlam one. The SummerSlam was a funner trip, but because we didn't really know. Well, I can at least say I didn't know what the hell I was doing to make a video. And like what Ravi said in his interview the other day with you guys, he was talking about how like Justin coming on the trip like changed the game by him like taking all the pictures, and that's what you remember. Like that SummerSlam trip, we made a picture where we took all of our pictures posing with the Mattel like figure thing, and we made the what's we used
Freebird.
to call each other something back. The Freebird, yeah, we made the Freebird 3-pack. And like besides that, I have a picture I took of Luke and Miguel walking down like the strip.
Yeah.
That's like the only pictures we have at all from that whole
That's crazy.
Nutso.
Because now you can't go like a minute without someone taking a picture on a trip.
You gotta take a little self ski, you know?
Yeah.
Get that down.
Hey, we're
That's
moving
actually,
locations. New picture.
That's a forgotten piece of, I guess, click history, because without Ravi, there was 3 of us. So then we're like, okay, who's a trio in wrestling? And I thought of the Freebirds. So I'm like, okay, without Ravi, we're the Freebirds. And that's that was like a little thing for a couple of years.
We made that Titantron, I remember.
That's right. I made a Freebirds Titantron with the Freebirds music video and all that shit.
Yeah, which I own.
But also, to bring this back around to the Elimination Chamber trip, I remember also, God, I was running on, I think, little to no sleep around that time. And I just...
pre-Mania trip for you.
Right, and that's another thing to take into account, too, is that this was just a couple months before Georgia in 2011. So, God, we had a really busy year. And I think we did SummerSlam in 2011 as well. So it was a very busy year. But I remember...
I feel like that was the year when I was like, I need to make some friends and go on these trips because like I'm missing out, you know?
Yeah, I had somebody, I mean, just to segue for a second, I remember some guy came up to me in New Orleans a couple years ago and said, like, our videos kind of inadvertently inspired him to want to do that and get friends together and go on trips and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
I had no idea that we were just filming shit and putting it up on YouTube, and it inspired a lot of people to want to go out and do what we did. But
dude, like honestly, every time, like I mean, I'd say this kind of started like late 2011 into 2012. Like 2011, my freshman year of high school, when I went to like my homecoming football game, like I brought my camera to make like a video just because like all my friends were getting together in this one spot, and because I saw you guys doing, making videos on wrestling trips, I was like, man, like this is like such a cool thing. They're having so much fun. I want to do that with my friends. And it turned into us like hitting each other and doing wrestling moves for the entire football game. And like every time in like 2012, when like me and my friends would get together, like whether we would go, I don't know, to like the bowling alley or to like, wherever, like go to even, like, we all get together and like pretty much walk up and down the road and go store to store just because we had nothing to do. I'd still turn that into a video because it was like, well, I mean, we're all hanging out together. Let's make a video about it. We're all wrestling fans. Like, so it's literally like, it's literally like you guys started this whole thing. And, there might be someone who like did it before, but like for me, that was like seeing you guys do it. I was like, I got to do this. And not only wrestling trips, but just in general.
Yeah, and what was to bring it back to the chamber again, that's what's so fun about these trips is that you can make them kind of spontaneous, and that's kind of what I did. I jumped on like, hey, let's do it, okay,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what wrestling kind of brings you together that way, where you can just fucking make a trip out of it and have all these little adventures, and that's what's so addicting. Many people on the outside, they don't really get it, especially non-wrestling fans, where it's like, well, why do you spend all this money and go on all these trips? It's because of just the memories, the adventures, hanging out with your friends. It's like the wrestling is what brought us there, and that's great too. But you just have to, it's something you have to experience and feel, and then you can look at somebody and go, okay, I get it. But a lot of people don't. So it's kind of, and pro wrestling's the same way too, right? Why do you like that shit? Well, you have to kind of live it and know it and understand it, then you'll get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
pretty much most of the trips, you don't remember the show. You remember like the in between, anyways.
Right.
Like the show is kind of secondary.
Cena and the Big Show standing in the pod right in front of our seats the whole freaking match.
That's random, but I wanted to rewind a little bit and talk about cutting a video in the Wrestle Center with Steve.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
That was something because that had been
Iconic moment in the YWC. Like when worlds collide.
I really did feel like Rick Rude coming to Nitro, but it it was kind of interesting. Again, everything's smaller in person, right? Giggity. But so I went in there, and then Steve's like, "Hey, you should hit me with a chair or something." I'm like,
Of course.
right.
I was like, "Oh shit," because he had the steel folding chair there. I'm like, okay, but I'm like, he's 70 or 71 at the top. So, like, I don't want to lay it in. So I give him the worst chair shot, I think, in the history of everything. If you go back and watch that,
Yes, it is.
Because I didn't want to. I don't want him a week later to go, "Hey, my lower back hurts."
I can't come meet today. What are you doing?
What about the garage door opener?
Oh,
Yeah, that
I
thing
didn't
kept
even
getting in the way.
about that. Like days later, Bobby made fun of it.
Made fun of the chair shot or the garage door thing.
The garage door thing hitting your head the whole video, and then you
Yeah.
sell it every time. I'm just talking it off my prediction video.
Well, I remember I didn't like the first take that we did, and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do another one." You're like, "Nope, one take. That's all we do around here." I'm like, "Okay."
True. It's still to the day.
The video, you want to shoot it again? It's gonna take like an hour to upload in the videos, and the show starts in like 3.
Well, I'm a perfectionist, so I wanted to do another one, but you said nope. That's it.
So, Breach, if I come to Sacramento, am I going to see the same setup in your garage, or has it changed since?
I cut that table up and I threw it in the trash.
Oh, dude, we could have made that into relics, dude. We could have sold that, like, you know how much money. Like, if you broke that up into little pieces, like you could have sold like that for like $50 a piece. Man, that's history. And it could have been
for $50.
What?
No one's buying that for $50.
Well, if you would have never like threw it away, who knows what would happen?
The guy who bought the Undertaker dirt.
Yeah, Justin bought the Undertaker.
I didn't buy the plaque.
Wait, you bought dirt?
I would buy the poster before I buy the plaque. I'm not buying that plaque.
Unbelievable. He doesn't even want to talk about it because he's so ashamed. But I just remember like the G Wiz box like in the background, and I remember like it was just one of those things where when you realize it was a garage, like Breach, why were you like out in the garage? Like, did you not have like your office at the time?
No. I
Just walked away.
Wall up before 20.
Come back into the room. Come
What
back.
a pro in the room during a podcast.
Taking a picture of the G Wiz box. Calm down.
I am calm.
But no, because I didn't get that until they put the wall up. And we made the back of the house into the bedroom. So I guess I'm sleeping, or I guess I'm laying down right now where Luke Cage once laid in my house. Just on my bed instead of the couch.
You almost never mind. I never knew why you were always in your garage. So that makes sense now. Like I think like I've known you for I don't even know how many years now, maybe like 7 years, and I just never knew why you were in your garage versus like your office. And then I remember when you moved into your office, and you had all these plans, like you had all those bookshelves that were going to be filled with DVDs and wrap around the room and stuff like that. And I mean that was a big thing when you moved from the garage to to your office where you're at now.
Heck yeah.
But
well, after Steve hurled all over the road, we went to go park at the the Orca Arena? Oracle. And the guy, we pull up to the guy and he goes $35, and Steve goes, "Whoa!" And then the security guard, he's like, "Whoa!" Like he had a shocked look on his face. I've never had anyone react like this before. It's like, "What are you talking about? $35?"
That's a lot.
I don't even think.
I forgot about that meme.
And then he said something that he would get Me Too'd for today, which I will not repeat. But
yeah, 35 is a ridiculous amount, though. Like
more than the show.
That is pretty ridiculous. But Steve paid it all, so there you go.
Yeah.
I always pay it all. That's how it works.
Yeah, not really. Oh, and you want to talk about? I don't think we're going to do a rundown of the card because it's not worth running down.
No, it's not.
But post show, I remember.
No, we got to talk about mid show when I got that text from Zach's mom.
Oh.
That's right.
I don't know where her son was.
Yeah, you were having an affair. Oh, that.
Jesus Christ.
Zach didn't tell his mom where he was going, and his texts me mid show and is like, "I need you to have my son call me. You were the last person that he texted. I know he's with you." Fuck. What?
Oh.
So I have to get up. I walk all the way around the arena. I know I missed the Trish Stratus return doing, and I think Booker T came out or something like that. But I walk all the way over to Zach. I'm like, your mom wants you to call her now, and he's like, no, and I'm like, no, you're gonna want to call home now, and he's like, I will later, and I'm like, whatever. I walk all the way back, and then the whole rest of the show, I'm just looking at my phone, waiting for his mom to text me back. Like, it's just like, I don't know, man. If I could have took the battery out of my phone and threw it in the ring, I would have done just like make that go away. And then we drove him home and dropped him off. I dropped him off like a block away. I went nowhere near that house.
Oh, just because.
But the running gag of the whole trip was this GPS device called a TomTom. I don't even know if you can get these anymore.
Nope, it's on your phone now.
It's probably an ancient art of. Oh, okay, it's an app now. But this was an actual fucking gimmick screen that you had to buy, and back when they did that for GPSs. And so post show, he turns this thing on, he fires it up, and he puts whatever in there. So then maybe like 30 minutes in, I'm looking around, and we're just going up and down these humongous hills on these streets, and I'm going, I still live in San Francisco. This reminds me a lot of San Francisco. And I look to him, I'm like, we're in San Francisco, aren't we? And he goes, yep, without looking at me. So he went, I don't know if you guys are smart to Northern California or not, but Oakland and San Francisco are, not
pretty
that
far
close.
away.
Yeah, maybe about an hour apart.
The way that we're supposed to go, though, because this came up on the 31 trip when we drove to San Francisco for the day. Like the first day we were there, it was Ravi, Miguel, me, and Zach. We left Santa Clara. We drove to San Francisco, and when we spent the day in San Francisco, on the way back to Santa Clara, it took us by the Oracle Arena because I had to live these jokes again. I think that's honestly the way we're supposed to go. But I don't know. I trust the TomTom. It got us home.
Yeah, you took us the complete opposite way of where we needed to go. And,
I think that's the way you're supposed to go.
Yeah, whatever. But it was a nice sightseeing. It was nice to be back in my former home. So thanks, I guess.
It all works out, It turned into a joke.
Nice guy, drive some people around, and all of a sudden you become a bad guy because you're not going where they want.
He passed the arena. Yeah, that's pretty far away. Yeah. That's...
Oh, this is something I forgot to mention. I was trying to remember all that happened that month with me. I was at the February 14th Raw a week before, or 6 days before the Chamber, where The Rock came back.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy doing the loop, I guess.
Oh my God! Yeah, so it was February 14th in Anaheim, February 20th in Oakland, and then February 21st in Fresno for Raw.
Did I go to SmackDown before the Chamber, and that's where I sat front row, or is that the next year? What year did Cody fight Rey Mysterio? That was 28, right?
27.
No, then I went to the Chamber and sat front row the day, the Monday. No, it'd be the Tuesday before the Chamber, and then what did I do? I met Mario that day. That's what I did.
Oh, yeah, your current husband, yeah. But
What?
What?
No, nothing.
What?
But yeah, it was a very eventful year, 2011. That was 2010 really kind of kicked it off, though, man. That whole decade was really the beginning of these trips and just these memories. And I went to 3 events the decade before. As we talked about, No Way Out 04. I went to a SmackDown house show in 04. And then in 09, I went to a SmackDown ECW house show. And that was it for that whole decade. So this was really the beginning, the origins of these trips. And God, they've just brought me and all of us countless memories, man.
We're going to end off that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And now we have to do it all again this decade.
Well, no, because we're off to a shitty start. We can't do
We're
anything.
talking about me, Mike, Breech, Ravi, Tommy. We got one in already for the decade.
Trip of the century,
2 months
dude.
in. 2 months in, we got one in.
For the year, that's good.
Hey, remember, okay, like, I think that one of the reasons why the Day in the Life video from the Chamber is so good is because that is the first time that I think Luke held a flip cam, and he fell in love with the flip cam.
Mm-hmm.
He started, like, reenacting the Scott Hall videos.
Let's go, Scott Hall.
I know him and Zach were doing. I haven't seen that one in a little bit, but I mean, like, because I was driving the whole time with the 30-second themes blaring. I think that the Luke did all of the camera shooting on that one, because Luke before then he didn't have like a video camera. He only had a camera, and he only had one memory card, and he would film something and leave it on the memory card, take it with him on his next trip so he could like watch those moments and live them again. And anytime he wanted to take another picture or make another video, he would have to choose which video he was going to delete to make the newest video.
This is true, and this actually happened to me. It was the February 14th Raw, again, to go back to that. I ran into actor Daniel Roebuck. He was in Randy Orton's new movie at the time. Many people don't know who this guy is, but he was in that Disney movie Quince. He was in The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals, Disorganized Crime. I'd known him, but like I was so starstruck.
More movies?
What's that?
Nothing, son.
I'm a movie buff, but so like it was one of those things where I was like I wasn't sure, so I had to ask him, "Sir, are you an actor?" Because I didn't know his name. Yeah, and he goes, "Yes." And then I'm like, okay, can I get a picture with you? Blah, blah. And so, like, what Steve said, like, I tried to get a picture with the guy, and then it said memory full. So I'm, like, scanning through, like, oh, God, what do I delete so I can get a picture with this guy? And he's, like, looking down at me, and I'm telling him, like, hey, I got to clear some memory. Hold on a second. And then he's, like, telling his wife, hold on, he's deleting some memory off his camera, and then we're going to take a picture.
Oh, my God. Oh, what a disaster.
He wants a picture with me just as much as I want a picture with him, I guess. But then we got the picture, and I'll put it up somewhere. He's holding his Pepsi behind his back. He doesn't want it to be in the shot. And then he said, he told me about working with Randy Orton, and he said, tell your friends about the movie and blah, blah. And I said, okay. And that was the end of that. But that was a little fun exchange with Mr. Daniel Roebuck.
That just hurt my brain just thinking about the fact that, like, you had to delete something because you were, like, because iPhones weren't popular at the time. Like,
I was just as embarrassed and cringing just as much.
You know how many dreams I've had of, like, I'm meeting a wrestler and, like, I take a picture and my phone's not turning on, the camera's not loading, it's like a black screen, the picture's crap. I have this reoccurring dream/nightmare once a month. And I wake up.
That's crazy.
Well, I'll take it one step further. You ever extended your hand to a wrestler and they were reluctant to shake it?
No. I've always looked pretense. Like, if I'm in line, I try to figure out what they're doing.
Well, see, I do that too, but I was like, okay, I'm getting my handshake, because to me, meeting somebody back then anyway, it was handshake, picture, or autograph.
Yeah.
So I was going to get all three, or try to get all three. I was in line to meet Christian at WrestleMania 27 Access, and he was not putting the Sharpie down in his right hand. He was not putting it down.
That's your own fault, because you were hanging out with Blackford, taking pictures with his belts, and you were wasting time back there.
Well, that's beside the point. But I was like, okay, I want to shake Christian's hand so I can get a complete experience. So I extend my hand. He looks at me like I got two heads, and he shakes my hand with the Sharpie in his hand.
Hey, hold on. I think there's a statute of limitations. It's like past. That trip was like 10 years ago, right?
No, 9.
9? Okay,
Yeah.
how about this? I can protect somebody. All right, here we go. Luke, isn't that the line where somebody was letting people cut them in line because he wanted to keep talking to the security guard?
I have no memory of that.
You don't remember that at all, really? That was the thing. Like, you guys go ahead. I'm gonna, yeah. Me and her are talking. Yeah, it's fine. Just go ahead. You guys go ahead. I was surprised. Maybe you weren't in. Maybe because you were with Blackford, you were behind.
Oh,
me.
wait a minute. Why are you making it sound like he came up to us and was chatting with us? I wasn't. You're acting like I was seeking him out. We were just bosom buddies and hanging out the whole fucking time.
You were holding his belt. You were taking photos. You were.
No.
Well, he listens to the podcast, so he'll comment.
Well, Mr. Black, listening.
Yeah, he'll back it up.
Yeah.
Like
Let
Luke
us
was
know
my
in the
biggest
comments.
fan.
No. What he did was he took my camera, he threw his belt on my shoulder, and he pulled an Austin Powers and went, "Yeah, baby, yeah." And he was like, trying to get shots of me with the belt. And I put it up on a Throwback Thursday or something. It's a cool picture. And Ravi and I look painfully young in that photo. But anyway,
There you go. There's a good Throwback Thursday picture to use post on your Instagram.
Well, I'm gonna end on this. You're talking about cringy situations. You talked about the Christian one. One time I had a friend that went up to me to say at wrestler of all time. He was so scared that he went for the picture right away, and the wrestler stuck
that's
his
it for the
hand out.
podcast. It's been fun.
And he just
Hold on. What happened? I don't want to know.
So the wrestler stuck his hand out, and like I was watching this happen, and you could see the wrestler stick his hand out, but the picture's taken, and in the picture the hand is just kind of like on the table, but it definitely extended out for a handshake, and it's just a funny thing.
Wasn't
And
that Sting?
all right, well, we'll see you next time.
Now I have to defend myself.
No, you don't.
All right, we're out of here. Bye.
He brought up the Hogan hug. That's
Oh.
how you meet a wrestler. You go in and you get the hug.
And on that note, you got the hug ski, not the shake ski.
We'll talk.
I got the hug ski. Then I looked at him and I was like, "We got to shake hands." And then when we were done, he stuck the hand out for another handshake. And I look at him, I shook him off like the Hulkamaniac I am, and I went in for another hug. 2 hugs.
2 hugs, and you can't do that anymore because obvious reasons. All right, well, thank you guys for coming on, and you'll probably be back on soon. So we'll talk to you again after a while.